everyone, welcome to the video on osmosis and dialysis. I'm actually going to try to find you all some supplemental videos on these as well from some of my colleagues that teach A&P. So if any of you have had anatomy and physiology, then this part of this video may be just a review for you. But I want to give you a little bit more supplemental. This video, just for time purposes, I'm just going to briefly talk through these definitions, and there's really not a lot of practice that we can do with this. And then if you would like to watch supplemental videos, I'm going to try to find you all some from my colleagues as well. Alright, so the membrane that surrounds living cells is called a semi-permeable membrane. Our skin is also an example of semi-permeable membrane, and as well as cellophane. These allow water and small molecules to pass through, but ions and large molecules cannot. Okay. Osmosis is just a process of the passage of solvent, so usually water is what we look at. Okay, and it goes across the membrane because it's considered to be, right here if you look, this is water and a small molecule. Okay, and so it passes through the membrane, but it passes from low concentration to high concentration. So I think of it as it's diluting the other side of the membrane. Okay, so if we look at this, we need to remember what concentration means. So if you look over here, we have all water molecules. This is our solvent. Okay, if you look over here, okay, sorry, here's the water. It's our solvent. If you look over here, see these black molecules? You have solute. So remember what concentration means. Concentration means the higher the concentration, the more solute, right? This what's present in the smaller amount. So this is our high concentration area. Okay, osmosis says that here's our membrane, that small molecules like water will pass from low concentration to high concentration. Okay, so our net flow is this way. Okay, this builds up a pressure known as osmotic pressure, and this prevents the flow of any additional solvent into a solution on one side of the membrane. Okay, and so the most common way that we relate osmosis is to our body. Okay, and so a lot of you are, or some of you are going on into nursing, probably have already had to have A&P, so this is, like I said, a reminder. But if you have two solutions together and they have the same osmotic pressure, then we call them isotonic, so the same. Okay, so one would be if you had a 0.92% salt solution and a 5% glucose solution. This is an isotonic solution. Okay. If you have a hypotonic solution, so a lot of terms here that you have to remember and differentiate between. The solution has a lower osmotic pressure than body fluids. Okay, so the concentration of particles outside of the cell is lower than the concentration of particles inside the cell. Okay, so lower concentration on the outside. Okay, so if you have lower concentration on the outside and higher on the inside, okay, all right, we know that osmosis says we flow from low to high. So there's your arrow. Okay. If water diffuses into the cell so much that the cell swells, it can eventually burst. So think about it. The water is going to diffuse into the cell, which can cause it to swell, which can also cause it to rupture, which is called hemodialysis. Okay, so we can have the reverse of this. Okay, so this is hypotonic, okay, when the concentration of the outside of the cell is lower than the inside. Okay, but we can also have a hypertonic solution. Okay, This is where there's higher osmotic pressure than the body fluids. Okay, so the concentration of particles outside of the cell is higher than inside. Therefore, osmosis says we flow from high to low, low to high. So this can cause the cell to shrink. Okay, so if all the water is goes through the semipermeable membrane to high concentration, we flow from low to high, then the cell can shrink, and this is called crenation. Right? So this would be a hypertonic solution. Okay, another focus on health and medicine is dialysis. Okay, in the human body, the blood is filtered through the kidneys, okay, by the process of dialysis. Okay, in dialysis we have water, small molecules, and ions can pass through the semipermeable membrane. Okay, and only large biological molecules cannot. All right, so in dialysis, this allows for waste products. So someone that is needing dialysis, their kidneys are not functioning properly, and they are not able to filter out those large molecules, proteins and starches that they should, right? And so their blood is contaminated. Okay, therefore it needs to be filtered. Okay, and so this allows waste products like urea to be removed from the bloodstream and eliminated in the urine. Okay, and so this is just a process where osmosis is used. Okay, so when a person's kidneys are incapable of removing waste products from the blood, okay, hemodialysis is what is used. And so this person's blood goes into the dialysis machine, and through this machine they are able to filter the blood. So there's actually a membrane in this, a semipermeable membrane in this dialyzer here, and can even be cellophane, right? It's just a semipermeable membrane that's going to block those large molecules from going through it and only allowing the clean blood to go back to the patient. Okay, so through this, there's a pump, there's the dialyzing tube, and through this process, the dirty blood is left behind. So if you think about, if you have a membrane here and you've got dirty blood, okay, the urea cannot pass through, so only clean blood can go through, and that is what is funneled back to the patient. All right, I hope this helps, and I will see you soon.